Hey guys, Trim Keto Mama here. I thought I would come and tell you a little bit about my ketogenic lifestyle journey. So this journey started for me back in February of 2016. The reason that I started even looking into it was I ran into a girl that I hadn't seen in a while, and she had lost some serious weight, about 40 pounds at that time. And I'm like, whoa, what have you been doing? You look amazing. And she said, I've been doing this thing called keto. And I'm like, never heard of it. So she added me on a Facebook group, very similar to the Trim Keto Mama Facebook group. And I just started watching. And I just remember people eating butter and coconut oil and avocado and fat and fat and fat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to do that. There's no way. I was already 274 pounds and my body had plenty of fat on it. And there was no way that I needed to eat all that fat. I needed to lose fat. But all the while, I did know my girlfriend had lost a substantial amount of weight. So I was open to education. And so I hope that's why you're watching. Maybe you're open to some education around the ketogenic lifestyle. So I watched on this Facebook group for a while, and I started figuring out what was macros. What were my macros for my body? How could I calculate those? You know, what kind of foods should I eat? What kind of vegetables? What kind of fruits? All these kind of different things. How much protein? You know, too much protein's not as good as what I always thought. I just thought low carb would be meat and cheese, right? And so anyway, I got a decent grip on what keto was. And so I have 3 kids, by the way. If you haven't ever watched the About Me in this website or my story before, then you may not know that I have 3 children. And so with kids comes lots of temptations in the food department. So I still to this day, even though I'm over 3 years into my journey, there is still temptations all the time. So I couldn't just go rid my pantry and my fridge of all the things. I still was going to have things in the house that weren't keto or even low carb, but I needed to at least have options of things that I knew I could eat. So I just started really simply. And I say that because I think so many people think they have to have all the P's and Q's in order. They have to know exactly how to do everything, and you don't. And although I did track my macros for about my first month, which I absolutely hate counting, but to get started at something, especially when you need to have a basics and you need to know, how much meat is 4 ounces of meat. If you haven't weighed your food in a while, you probably don't know what that looks like. So, or how much is a half a cup of something? You know what I mean? So it's important to go ahead and measure and weigh and count for a period of time. Don't feel like you have to do that your entire journey. Now, some people choose to, and that's totally fine. But I knew I was one of them people that it was going to be just a certain amount of time for me to do that. And then it was going to be me eyeballing things. Now, I'll tell you, there are still times I need to go back to counting because our eyeballs, like eyeballing things, it starts to grow a little bit and you don't realize your portion sizes have grown and you're getting actually more calories or more fat or more protein and things than you realize you're getting in. So sometimes if you feel like you've stalled out, it's important to just recheck yourself, even if it's just for 3 or 4 days or maybe a week or 2, and see, oh, that's what I've been missing. I didn't realize I was getting 1/4 of a cup of creamer in my coffee every morning. I thought I was getting 2 tablespoons. Because you just get to pouring and you don't realize how much you're getting in your intake. So that's where I started, just super simple. You guys, if you're on the website watching, go to the resources tab. There is a macro calculator there for you. So literally your hub is right here. It has everything you need. Your macro calculator, figure out your macros, plug in your age, your weight, your height, how active you are, all those things, and you'll find out what your macros are. Now, I will tell you, and I'm not a keto guru, I don't know it all, and I'm definitely not a doctor or nutritionist, but what I'll tell you is that fat is never the goal. Protein is the goal. Your protein macros is a goal, and your carbs below 20 net carbs a day is a goal. Your fat is not the goal. Your fat is a gauge to not go over that, but you have to remember whatever you intake is what you have to burn before you can burn what's stored. So if you keep maxing out that fat every day or going over on your fat, you will stall. And you also have to remember your macros, when you calculate those, is for the weight you are at that time. So if you are losing weight, you need to recalculate them. Because if, say, you started like I did, I was 274 pounds, and say I lost down to 250, and I'm still eating at 250 what my macros were for 274, I'm going to gain. So about every 10 to 15 pounds, you need to recalculate those macros so that you know where your macros are for your new weight. So that's where I got started, guys. And I did decent. I lost some pounds. I was feeling better. My energy was still subpar. Looking back, I definitely needed to be doing some electrolyte supplements. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't doing enough pink Himalayan sea salt. Guys, back when I started in 2016, although the diet has been around for over 100 years, there wasn't near as much education as there is now in 2019. So there was definitely some things I would have done differently with the electrolytes and the pink Himalayan sea salt, which is also an electrolyte. So anyway, I know there were some things I definitely could have done better. As far as my energy being kind of low and things like that, it was because of the electrolyte imbalance, which you will go through. You may have more extreme case like keto flu. You may just feel a little bit more fatigued than you feel like you should feel. And so making sure you have enough electrolytes is super important. So guys, I started at 274 pounds. About a year in, I was down about 70 pounds. And then the next like 8 months of that year of 2017, I basically maintained through 2017. And then 2018, I was in a wedding. And that's just enough to get you motivated to lose a little bit more. And so I actually got down to 197. And so in September of 2018, I was 197 for a total of 77 pounds of fat loss. And I still have a ways to go. But what I'll tell you is my journey kind of looks something like this. It's just up and down all the time. And I feel like maintenance is harder than losing sometimes. So I'm definitely not in maintenance, although I feel like I've been in maintenance for a while because I haven't gotten refocused to be super strict again and to lose on a steady track. Although I'm getting there, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But I had maintained for a while, and then I was asked to be in a wedding. And I had about 5 or 6 months to get to where I wanted to be. So I had purchased a dress, and it was a little bit too small, but I did that on purpose for a little bit of motivation. And I was able to get in that sucker, and I was able to break below the 200, get into Wonderland, and that felt really, really good. But then I put way too much emphasis on the dress, even though I wasn't the bride, I was a bridesmaid. I put too much emphasis on the dress. So once the wedding was over, then it was like I didn't continue on with the goal, which was really silly, but I'm human. And I got off track. And then it was like I couldn't get back on track. And I was having a hard time with my appetite control again. I was having a hard time with my energy. And I was just struggling, guys. I actually gained 25 pounds until about the middle of May. I stumbled upon a supplement that totally was skeptical, by the way. But I was kind of at a point where something needed to change, and I did not want to see myself spiral back and get back to 274 plus. So I reached out to a girlfriend and said, all right, fine, you're doing so great. And I know she had also been struggling and had gained about 20 pounds. Let me try what it is you're trying. So I tried it, and I could not believe on day 3, ever since, how great I felt. I'm down 12 pounds of those 25 I had gained. So I've got 13 of those to go. And then I'll be back at the 197, and then I'll continue to go the other way. But what I'll tell you is this. You don't have to take supplements to do a killer ketogenic lifestyle. But what I'll tell you is, as a food addict, and you go through these ups and downs in your journey, there are times when you just need that helper. You just need that something that can help you have the appetite control and have the energy to move your body. And all of those things, I need that. And I feel like almost anyone who struggles with food and is maybe more of a food addict than just went through a rough patch with their health or whatever, I am definitely a food addict, and that's something I will have to be mindful of the rest of my life. But this helper has helped me incredibly a lot. And my husband wasn't super on board with the idea. He was drinking something else he still liked, and he watched for a couple of weeks. And then he's like, you know what? Your food has been on point. Your energy's great. Like, he could just tell I felt better. He's like, I want to give it a shot. So I gave it a try. Day 1, he's never went back to the other thing. He absolutely loves how he feels. And so, you know, it's been really fun to see how this can help people in their journey, whether they're keto or they're not keto, but it helps me in this lifestyle. And so anyway, I'm just sharing a little bit about my story. So I am currently at 210 pounds. I had gotten up to 222 from 197. So I'm at 210 and I feel great. I feel so good to have control over my food. And I'm probably going to go back to counting again just for a period of time, because it's literally been longer than I probably even care to admit since I've counted on a regular basis. And just count for a week or two, maybe just a week, because I hate it so much. If I'm doing it after a week, I might stop. But if I need a little more time, I might keep going. But it's so good to visually see what you're putting in your body. And I mean, I've learned to fuel your body for nutrition and not for what sounds good. But when you don't have appetite control, that's where people really struggle. The appetites and the cravings, if those are like taking over your mind, it's really, really tough. So if you feel like you need a helper, this is not a sales pitch. I mean, obviously it sort of is, because I found something that helps me if you're looking for a helper. But also at the same time, don't feel like I wouldn't support you if you chose not to use it, because I help everybody. So I hope that you have found value out of the trimketomomma.com website. You're checking out the resources tab. You've checked out the beginner's guide. There's some good stuff there. Or you've asked to purchase the beginner's guide. It's just a small fee. And then if you're not a part of the Trim Keto Mama Facebook group, or if you're in there and you haven't added your friends that maybe they're not specifically low carb or keto or somewhere in the middle, maybe they just want a good recipe, add them in there. Make sure you're adding value too. Make sure you're posting from time to time some of the things that you're making, because you add value too, whether you know you do or not. Your presence in that group matters just as much as mine does. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. This is still midpoint of my journey. I don't know how far I'm going to go. I don't know like what a goal weight or a goal size is for myself, because I've literally been overweight my entire life. So I don't know. Like, I'm in a loose 14. I was in a loose 12. So my next goal is to get back into that loose 12. And then I don't know. I think around a size 8 is kind of a goal, but pounds wise, I have no idea. When you're burning fat, building muscle, inches is where it matters. The pounds really don't. I've seen before and after pictures where the weight was exactly the same and their body was completely transformed over here. So I'm going for inches and pant sizes versus pounds and what the scale says. I don't give the scale a whole lot of value. I use it as a gauge to let me know if because if it's growing, then I probably am not eating right. I'm probably either cheating too often, or my portions are too large, or things like that. And most of the time, if that scale goes up, I already know it's going up because I've made boo-boos. But if the scale's not going down, that's not my only reference for if I'm actually losing. How my pants fit, if I've lost inches, and how I feel is top of my list. So if you guys haven't reached out and said hi at some point, or just share your story with me. I want to hear your story too. It's not just about me sharing mine. I do this business of Trim Keto Mama to really collaborate with people and really get to be a part of their journey. So if you don't ever share with me your journey, the good and the not so good, then it's hard for me to connect with you. So make sure you reach out, make sure you comment, or you just reach out privately. You can find me on Lacey Carell on Facebook. You can follow me, my personal page. I do Facebook Lives on recipes and personal development and things like that too. So I would love to connect. So make sure you reach out and say hi. And that's what I have for you guys today. So Trim Keto Mama is out, guys. Bye.